Warning: the activities and subjects described in this video can be dangerous and should never be practiced without supervision. An adult should be present during every step of activity and construction, so don't do anything dumb, please. Medieval armor and combat can be dangerous, so be safe, train hard, and be knightly. Welcome to The Modern Medieval, the show that explores and explains medieval combat, arts and sciences, the concepts of chivalry, and how they apply to the modern day. I'm your host, Sir Gemini. Today we're going to talk about the medieval spear, its history on the warfield, its history on the dueling field, and we're going to show it a do-yourself build for under $20. Now that you've made your DIY practice spear, how are you going to practice with it? One of the best ways I have found for getting accuracy with this spear and learning a little bit of measure about the spear is using a training ball like this. All this is a tennis ball. And what you do is you take the tennis ball, put it on a vise or put it on something solid. Very carefully take a razor like a box cutter and put a slice in it about 2 inches, max, 1.5 inches. If you are under 18, have somebody else do this for you. Be very, very careful not to cut yourself. Then you take a piece of regular cotton or cording like this, rope, and make 4 or 5 knots in it. Once you've got the knots made, stuff it in the tennis ball where you made the slice. Then tape it up, put it something bright colored like red, like I have here. Then you can just hang it on something. You can hang it from the rafter of your house, you can hang it on a tree, you can hang it on a clothesline. There's lots of ways you can hang this from. And what we're going to show you is a method of practicing your measure, how to keep your measure with the spear, and a little bit of accuracy with a moving target. So once you've got your target set up and you've got it hanging from something, you want to practice some accuracy. And how you're going to best practice that accuracy is with a half step and a sliding thrust. These are the premier thrusts with a spear. There's 2 main types. There's a hunting thrust or boar's thrust, I've heard it called, and then there's a sliding thrust. Essentially what they are is you want to get into a first good stance. And the best stance that we use here in our Oplomachian style is what's called an aggress stance. And what you'll do is you'll take your feet, place them parallel to each other, take 1, 2 steps back, and you want your feet facing the target. Your shoulder should be in direct line with the target. You should not try to go inwards. In other words, if I'm facing my opponent directly in front of me, I don't want the spear to go forward and to the right or to the left. I want the spear to go forward directly out. This is the easiest way to target something. So I want my spear to go straight forward. Now, the boar's thrust or the hunting thrust is simply taking a step with the front foot, or not, and bringing both hands forward, just like this. And that's one way to begin a little bit of accuracy in pushing the spear straight forward. Notice my front hand is in the middle, back hand is at the very end. There's lots of reasons for that. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to go through why. But look for more, and if you're very interested in it, we'll do more on the spear. I want to make sure that I have my distance and take enough away to where I actually can't reach it. I have to take a step to touch it. And the reason for that is because I don't want them to be able to hit me without doing something overt like stepping. So from here, I'm going to step and touch. Step and touch. Step and touch. And all you're doing is getting the motion of stepping and making a target touch straight from your shoulder in a straight line. Just like that. And the more it swings, the more you're going to adjust your feet, like a turret on a gun. If that target moves here and here, you're not just going to turn your body, you're going to turn your whole frame like a turret. That way it shoots straight out every time. This is the easiest way to access a target. The sliding thrust is done almost like you do a pool cue. The backhand pushes and slides the weapon through the front hand. Notice that my backhand will curve in towards my body. There's a couple reasons for that. One of them is if I lose with my front hand, I still have it cupped and I'm able to hold on to the spear. I don't want to let it go with my front hand though. Again, I want to get my measure from the spear by getting touch distance, then taking a half step away. Now I shouldn't be able to reach it. If I can reach it, I want to get a little farther back. And from here again, I'm going to half step, and now I'm going to push that backhand, curving the fist into me and touching, and then stepping back. Notice I don't take a very big step at all. Half step, touch. And again, as the ball swings in different directions, I want to make sure that I line my back shoulder up every time to get the accuracy in my target. And just go slow, practice that step. If you can hit it without stepping, you're too close. Remember, if you can hit them without stepping, they can hit you. And you're not going to hit it every time, but you're going to try to get as consistent as possible. Do it faster, hit the ball harder, but not too hard. If you hit it too hard, the tip has a tendency to drop. So you just want to practice a smooth step and a thrust. And again, straight lines. You don't want to direct it in towards your center line. You want it straight off the shoulder. It's the easiest way to gain a good target. You're not always going to hit it, but hopefully most of the time, and as you get better, your accuracy will improve. Practice this. It's fun to do. You can challenge yourself. You can make more than one target. It's easy to do. It's very inexpensive, and it's a great way to get a feel for targeting with the spear. So once you've got some practicing with your accuracy and your training ball down, you want to make sure that you keep that accuracy and you keep your measure. Offense is an important part of the spear because your offense and your defense is all encompassed with one weapon. Never forget, though, that when you're working with a weapon like this, if you are actually doing a sparring match, you should be wearing another weapon, that is a dagger. That's for close quarters. This weapon can only go so far in measure. One of the other things that you want to look at is wielding the spear with dexterity. Now, we showed you a little bit about the sliding thrust and using a half step with the sliding thrust, and there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of blocks, there's a lot of defenses, there's a lot of attacks that you can use with the spear. Anyway, one of the other things that you want to look at is having dexterity in what's called a disengage. Now, the people who are in the fencing community, rapier community, later period, even sport and Olympic fencing, you're going to find this very interesting because a lot of what the rapier, the small sword, the fencing foil, and all those other later weapons came to be had a lot of influence from the spear. And that's because it's a long weapon that survives by keeping the tip forward and using the thrust. One of the things that you can practice is what's called a disengage, and that's a circular motion going from one target to another. For instance, if I'm in an on-guard position here and I have my weapon straight forward, if I intend a certain target by bringing the weapon out and it's closed by a block or defense, I can rotate the weapon around that defense and strike, almost in the same exact target. This is called a disengage. One of the ways that you can practice a disengage is to just practice a circular motion with the spear. And what I want you to notice is my front hand isn't moving that much. My back hand, my body, and even my feet are pushing to make this motion work. Now I'm exaggerating the motion. What that means is I'm making it much, much bigger than it actually is. The reason I want to do this is when I do it for real, it's going to be this, just this tiny little motion, because I only need to move it the width of my opponent's spear. So when you practice a disengage, and we're not going to give you too many techniques because we only have so much time today, but when you practice a disengage, first practice it with very big motion, using the back hand to wield and move the spear, using the body to turn. Notice how my whole body runs it. Now, some people just use their arms, and that's okay, but your arm is never as fast or as strong as your whole body working in unison. And if you know anything about our technique in Oplomachia, we know that we use the entire body for everything. And it almost looks like you're channeling Elvis a little bit, so you may want to pop in Blue Hawaii and see what the King's got for you. Turn it slowly, and then go the other direction, and again, turn your body. I know it seems a little weird, and it seems like I'm doing some sort of weird hula, but it's actually quite good for practicing those small little disengages. Practice it at home, goes a long way. And that's it, our episode on the spear. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you gleaned a little bit from it. Hopefully you'll make your own practice spear and get some practicing in so you can duel your friends at home. Make sure to wear the proper safety protection, have a good time, and have patience with it. The spear is a really elegant weapon, and when done well, it's one of the fastest and most beautiful weapons in the medieval arsenal.